Alright, let's get started with this Usyk Fury technical analysis part 2. Thank you for all the good feedback I've had on part 1 and on the psychological analysis. The psychological analysis will continue when I get my microphone because the audio wasn't very good in the last one and it was distracting for people, so I do apologise for that. But let's get started on part 2 of the technical analysis of what happens if Tyson Fury comes out on the back foot against Alexander Usyk. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to compare Tyson Fury, his best ever back foot performance, against Vladimir Klitschko, okay? His most recent one against Dillian Whyte, and the reason I'm going to be using this is he's a similar height to Usyk, maybe a bit shorter, maybe a bit taller, but that's significant. And also against Wallin, which is being used because Wallin is a southpaw, okay? Similar style to Usyk, nowhere near as good, okay? And I think when preparing for a fighter, you need to prepare for the best possible version of them, okay? So I'm looking at the best possible versions of Tyson Fury, and I'm going to compare this to Alexander Usyk against Tony Bellew. And the reason is, Tony Bellew tried to fight a back foot counterpunch game, okay? Now, Bellew is a little bit shorter than Usyk, I believe, but as I've said before, that can be a massive disadvantage when it comes to depth perception, okay? So, we're going to look at these fights, the highlights here, and we're going to see what I think of them and how I think that possible style will translate against Usyk. So, let's look at the highlights to Fury versus Klitschko. Which, by the way, I actually picked Fury to win the fight. I said if he comes out on the back foot, he should be able to nullify Klitschko's offense, because Klitschko's always been a timid guy, and Fury is a master of mind games. But also, on top of that, if you're keeping away from a guy who's used to fighting at long range, he's not going to commit coming forward unless he's got the technical ability to do so, or he's got bravery. Now, I think that Vladimir Klitschko had a relatively good front foot game, but he wasn't brave enough to use it, and that's why I picked Fury to win. But I did have some reservations because Klitschko did wipe out Kubrat Pulev, which was a very good performance. And I've seen some people try to discredit this performance from Fury, saying that Klitschko was old. That's ridiculous. Klitschko was still, maybe not in his prime, but he was very close to it still. And Fury had everything against him. He had the referee against him, spongy canvas, gloves that didn't fit, and all this kind of stuff, okay? Right, so let's have a look at these highlights. Even here, Fury playing the mind games. Okay, let's skip forward a bit. Now, first thing you'll notice, Fury actually kept his hands quite low, and people said that was risky, but it's really not, because just because Vladimir Klitschko hits hard doesn't mean he's going to commit, because if you look at Fury's stance here, Klitschko's got to watch this glove, he's got to watch this glove as well, he's got to be wary of what happens. So Fury changing his hands from high to low, that's actually something I think he could use against Alexander Usyk. But if he is low, Usyk can get a lot lower than Vladimir Klitschko is. He can slip left and right, particularly to the left. Now that's something Fury doesn't want to do against Usyk. What he just did here, where he puts his hand out right there. You don't want to do that against a guy who's looking to get into the mid-range with you, because Klitschko, look, he's trying to keep his arms completely extended. Usyk will have no qualms about being closer to Fury and just keeping and throwing his punches shorter. It's not something he wants to do. He does not want that to leave his face without his head coming off the centre line like it has here. This type of stuff that Fury's doing. Now, good head movement, by the way, good pullback. the clowning, I think he's going to try some of this, but I don't think it's going to work for very long. And it is the type of thing, if this fight goes the distance and it's quite close, it could actually win him the fight, because if Fury needs to conserve his energy, which I think he does, then some showboating to convince the judges and the crowd that he's winning the rounds when nothing's actually happening could go a long way. Okay, feints. Good shots, but you'll see here. What's Vladimir Klitschko's reaction? It's to it's to grab, and what's actually been thrown at him. If we slow down this frame rate to 0.5, you actually look at the torque behind these punches. This is what I'm saying about Klitschko's bravery. Fury's just flicking these. These haven't got any real power. And Klitschko's whole idea is to grab hold. That's all he wants to do, is just grab hold here. Again, he's getting caught with a jab, then he waits and waits until Fury stops throwing, till Vladimir's waiting for Fury to stop throwing before Vladimir starts to throw. Whereas Usyk will throw with him. You know, he'll get underneath, get side to side, get on either side of Fury and throw punches as Fury is throwing punches. And also, I do not believe this version of Tyson Fury exists anymore. I don't think he can come back. But, I mean, this is why we watch the best version, just in case he surprises us. Okay? Now, watch the power punches of Fury against Vladimir. See how they're all very wide and they're floppy. They're not unpredictable. They're not sharp counter punches. The power punches. This is the anything other than a jab. They're all very floppy and quite predictable for somebody with better depth perception. Which the shorter guy will have better depth perception. It's not like the short power punches that Anthony Joshua would throw, or Tony Bellew. And one of the reasons he's doing this is to get round Klitschko's guard, which is quite clever, because although Fury is taller, Klitschko's still quite a tall man. Usyk is shorter than Klitschko, so these wide punches, I mean, all Usyk has to do really is dip a little bit. And same for Klitschko really, but he was quite a static fighter. In terms of his upper body, it was very static, whereas Usyk is very dynamic, so he'll duck and slip and slide and weave and all this kind of stuff, change his angles. And also, Vladimir's number one defensive maneuver was to just take a step back or even jump back. This is one of the reasons Fury's using wide power punches, because by telegraphing that he's going to throw a shot, it would just send Vladimir Klitschko running backwards, and then Fury could just sneak in a few jabs. It was quite a clever tactic. Because the conventional wisdom was you don't want to swing, he'll anticipate it. But you look, whenever Fury's about to throw a swinging punch, Vladimir's like, oh, I'm going to get out of the way. Rather than saying to himself, right, let's get underneath the shot a little bit. And, you know, punch with him. You see, it's all lean back, steps back. Contrast this to Usyk. Reacts when saying, let's watch this combination slowly here. Whereas all Klitschko would do is go backwards and grab. So if you could just make Klitschko think, oh, he's going to throw a punch, then Klitschko would hide. And look at this, they got separated. So 0.44 into the round. Oh, sorry, this is the next round. Back onto Fury. I think these kind of sort of floppy power punches aren't going to work against Usyk. I think they're going to be too predictable, and Usyk's going to get underneath Fury's arms. But that's not to say that this tactic can't be used at all against Usyk, because I think that Tyson Fury needs to bring multiple strategies to this fight. And actually, something that I think he should do is vary his height. See, Usyk can make himself smaller, as in he can come lower, go left and right and all this. He can't make himself taller though, right? Tyson Fury, the main advantage he has over Usyk is his height. I'd say he needs to vary his height and keep Usyk guessing. But that comes with its own risks, because when you're dipping down like this, you can't move backwards side to side as easily. So it could end up with Fury on the floor or getting knocked out if he does that, or at least getting punched. You see how these are very much flicking jabs? And this type of stuff from Fury that we just saw, I don't think he can do this at the same level anymore. You see how he sort of plays around with his right hand, then comes around with a hook? I don't think he can do it at this kind of speed and think as quickly. And also, I think if he's going to throw a left hook like that against Usyk, then it's just going to go sailing past Usyk. I don't think it's going to land, and even if it does, I mean, it wasn't a huge amount of torque in that punch, so I don't think it's going to do much damage to Alexander. Let's look at round 12, because lots of people hold this up as Vladimir putting a whooping on Fury. I actually have to disagree, but we're going to look at round 12 quickly. Here it is, round 12. Now Vladimir comes out with a fair bit of urgency. Fury knows if this is a fair fight, then I've won. Now you see this is clever from Fury. He knows that Klitschko's going to try and put it on him, and he's trying to stop that right in its tracks. This is clever from Fury. I have to say, the referee was completely unfair, because Vladimir kept turning round, and that's why he kept getting punched in the back of the head, and he took a point off Fury for it. Ridiculous. And this, for me, this is very impressive stuff from Fury. If he can bring this type of an onslaught to Alexander Usyk, Usyk's in trouble, but I don't think he can do this anymore. This is really quick. This is like, you're watching a supreme athlete here. Look! I mean, look how low Fury just got there. Even though he's absolutely huge, he's probably come down to, like, 6 foot there. He's just in the blink of an eye as well, right when he needed it. This type of stuff messing him about. Now Klitschko does come on strong in the round. What we just saw there, I'm going to go into this about in part 3, about whether Tyson can just come in with the gloves up and maul Alexander Usyk. So subscribe to that part. But you see here, Klitschko's like, wait, he's figured out, if I get a bit of bend in my knee, okay, I can actually push him back. And I think that's going to be significant in Fury versus Usyk. And now Klitschko is starting to land on Fury and give him some issues. I think he comes in with a leaping left hook. Bang! I mean, Klitschko, Fury's got some toughness to have taken that. I still don't think he took full flush punches from Klitschko, but I do believe that the reason we've seen Fury hit the deck 5 times since his comeback, I think there's a bit of wear and tear causing his punch resistance to be reduced. I know he got dropped early in his career against not the biggest punches, but I think that was a lot of that was to do with him being too relaxed, and actually, to be fair, being out of shape. Okay. If you really look, I mean, people hold the 12th round up as Vladimir just putting a beating on Fury. I completely disagree. It started fast with Fury winning the round. Now Fury's sort of coasting. He's going, you know what? What's the point in trading? But this was quite an exciting round, and I'd have liked to have seen the rematch. I think a cut opened up in Klitschko's eye in this round. It looks like. Is that from a punch or from a head clash, I wonder? You see how this is all quite wide, sloppy stuff. I don't think this is going to work against Usyk here. You have to remember, Usyk has never lost a championship round. That means rounds 11 and 12. A judge has never given an Usyk opponent rounds 11 or 12. So if Fury's fading here in his prime, using this type of strategy, I'd expect the same in an Usyk fight. But bear in mind, he did have to deal with the spongy canvas and everything, but I also think that Usyk brings such a puzzle to Fury that it will cause Fury to waste a lot of energy. Now let's look at the Dillian Whyte fight. Full disclaimer as well, because I'm not somebody who claims to be all-knowing and anything like that. I picked Whyte to beat Tyson Fury. Now, I didn't pick Dillian Whyte to outbox Fury. I just had the feeling of an upset. I was just like... It was so weird. I just said to my friends, my family, I said, I expect Tyson Fury to handily outbox Dillian Whyte, and then for Dillian Whyte to just knock him out, because I just reckon that's going to happen. And sometimes this happens. You'll just sort of sense an upset. And I was sensing an upset, but got it completely wrong. But in terms of how the fight went, I was kind of underwhelmed with Tyson Fury because I felt like he should have been outboxing Dillian Whyte a lot more than he was. I thought his offense would have been more formidable. But then again, he just played it very safe, didn't he? He didn't fall into the trap that I thought he might fall into. So maybe I'm being a bit harsh. But let's look at the highlights here. And people say, no, he didn't, blah, 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 blah. I think he did freeze because why the fuck did he come out southpaw? Why did he come out southpaw? Doesn't make any sense. However, it may have actually worked because if you look here, Tyson Fury threw the least punches in the first round and it built up from there. Now, lots of people go, well, that's quite common, throw the least punches in the first round. But look at how different his average is compared to the first round. Tyson Fury doesn't really throw many punches against southpaws usually, the exception being Otto Wallin. He doesn't really throw. Even when Ngannou switched southpaw, he didn't really throw against Ngannou when Ngannou switched southpaw. But yeah, that's just a side note. Let's watch these highlights. Now, this is a stance I think Tyson should be taking against Usyk. Right hand by his chin, feeling out with his left hand, okay? And that he just used there is going to be extremely useful, where he feints and throws the jab. He uses lots of little tricks in this going to work as well as the Klitschko strategy, where it was lots of herky-jerky movement. I think this is nowhere near enough movement to befuddle Usyk. I think you have to be completely on him or completely away from him. And to me, this isn't going to be far enough away from him. And you look what happens when Whyte mounts an attack. It's just straight back from Fury. There's no pivoting to the side or anything like that. And I think he does use it a few times in this fight. But, it's something to note. And he did the same with with Deontay Wilder. Actually, I saw a comment. I'm going to respond to your comments. He made a valid point saying you can't compare you can't compare Fury versus Wilder to Usyk versus Fury versus Joshua, because Wilder's nothing like him, and Fury will use different tactics and all this, and that is true. But habits are habits. Fighters have habits, and limitations are limitations. You look, when somebody attacks Fury these days, it's very much just straight back to the ropes for him. It's not really any pivoting away or anything like that. It's kind of one-dimensional there, even when he's coming lighter and he's using a back foot game. With Dillian, it's everything. It swings over the top. For me, Dillian didn't do himself any favours in this fight. He should have jabbed to the body a lot more. I know it's a lot easier said than done, but you know what I mean? Should have jabbed to the body a lot more in this kind of stuff. It was a bit too much swinging, came in a bit too heavy for my liking. And Fury does very well against slow-footed fighters, particularly slow-footed fighters who are shorter than him. Usyk, from what we can tell, struggles more with that style than Fury, but that's largely because, as I said, dimensions make fights. Fury's got much longer arms, so he's got much larger... That's a lovely flurry from Fury. If he can bring this type of thing to Usyk, it will cause Usyk problems, but problems and insurmountable problems are different things. I mean, let's look at why that was so effective. All we have to do is watch Dillian Whyte. What's his response to all of that? See, doing the same thing Deontay Wilder did. Hands way too high up, exposing his body. Right, we go back. Ping shot, but it was thrown perfectly in range. That can work against Usyk as long as he's distracting him with his left hand like he did with Dillian Whyte. Whereas when he was throwing those looping shots against Vladimir, he was way out of range. So if he's going to throw looping shots, he needs to be right in range, right? Because if you've got someone who's timid and they've backed you up, even if you're out of range, you can throw a looping shot and they'll go backwards like Vladimir did. Usyk's not going to do that, so if he's going to throw a looping shot, he needs to make sure he's right in range. To flick out a jab and turn it to a hook. I can't be bothered to find it right here on this in this fight, but you know, it's something he could use against Dillian Whyte. Sorry, against Usyk. I do apologise, I get lots of the names mixed up, but one of the reasons is, look at all the names on my tabs. If I see one of them, you just read it automatically. And I'm just talking to a laptop screen, so you know, it's something I'm going to work on, hopefully get better at it, but it is what it is. As Canelo said, it is what it is. Right. So with this one, he tried to come out on the back foot Fury, but it didn't work for long because he got cut, and it was by a punch from Otto Wallin. See his punch output's quite low here. Again, Wallin has the same style as Usyk, he's just nowhere near as good at it. Yeah, he's just nowhere near as good at it. It's like the Tesco donuts versus Krispy Kremes. Literally, that's how you compare it. And look, this here, see how Fury's just lean back, he's like, he doesn't actually know how to get out. He doesn't know how to get out of the ropes. I feel like Usyk could really do some damage to Fury if he gets him on the ropes. Now, it has to be said, after this fight, Tyson Fury came in heavier because he said he was weakened in the Wallin fight, which is fair enough. He said he was losing too much weight and he was weakened. However, if you're going to fight on the back foot, you're going to want to be lighter. So, okay, let's say he comes in 265 and he feels stronger. Well, he's not going to be as quick and nimble. And Fury kind of alluded to that in the little press conference he did. Good sharp right hand. But again, let's watch Wallin's reaction to getting punched in the face, right, with a straight right. Let's watch Usyk's reaction when he gets punched, right? Playing with, he's got one hand up, one hand slightly down, then it's both hands up, then it's a step to the left, now it's a dip to the right, boom, boom, boom. See, he's probably going to throw a pendulum step in, which he does. Do you see how that's totally different to if you watch Wallin? Look how much less dynamic he is. Good fight, Otto Wallin, as well. I don't want to take anything away from him. He's still a very good fighter. That was pretty good from him. But he's not Alexander Usyk, you know. Usyk's an all-time great, whereas Wallin is a solid fighter for his era, you know. And he'd probably give quite a few champions in history a handful as well. I know he got blasted out by Anthony Joshua, but believe me, there's been fighters who would struggle with Otto Wallin. Alright, and let's watch some at full speed. I just wanted to show this quickly because in part 1 I said that Anthony Joshua threw plenty of punches against Usyk. People were saying he didn't throw enough. He actually threw plenty. And I pointed out that Tyson Fury's never thrown more punches than that, and it's true here. Joshua in the first fight threw about 650 punches, and it's the same for Tyson Fury here. There's never been a performance in Fury's career where he's threw 900 punches. So this idea that he's just going to punch non-stop, I don't know where it's coming from. You know, he's never been that high a volume puncher, and don't get me wrong, 650 punches for a heavyweight over 12 rounds is pretty damn good. But if you're going to say that Joshua didn't throw enough in the first or second fight, well, compare it to Fury's performance where he tried to blast out a southpaw. It didn't work, did it? You know, Fury started the fight on the back foot, realised that wasn't going perfectly, so he really picked up the pace trying to throw lots of punches. But, you know, I don't see Fury going in there throwing 900 punches and outlast and just blowing Usyk away. And I think what we can see from here, again, is that Wallin is just nowhere near as good as Alexander Usyk. And Tyson Fury really tried to knock him out in this fight, and he came nowhere near to it. Look at how deliberate Fury's body attack is here. And that's the 10th round. I think in this round it said he threw 84 punches. And I know he's got the cut, but I'm sorry, that's that's not going to... I understand Wallin's pinned here, so you know, if he can pin Usyk, then maybe he can throw those type of punches, but does anyone think that Usyk's going to let himself get into these clinches and things? He was very good at avoiding the clinches from Joshua. I'd argue Fury has a better clinch game, but just look. Wallin's here. When have you ever seen Usyk in this position? Maybe once or twice in a fight, not all the time. And by this position as well, somebody's going to say, oh, he stood with his hands up in front of Joshua plenty of times. Not with Tyson Fury, not with Joshua's glove between his arms. There's a very big difference. Let's look at the Usyk-Bellew fight. Lots of people hold this up as why Usyk loses to Fury if Fury goes on the back foot, okay? And I just don't see what they're arguing about because, as I said, dimensions make fights. Usyk is taller, he can see less of Bellew. When Bellew comes low, Usyk is struggling to see all of Tony Bellew. Look at what's actually happening here when we watch the highlights. He's going, oh, that's your game, is it? You're going to back foot counterpunch me? Okay, I'm just going to use my footwork to tire you out. He's not really... You can see Usyk's not really looking here to outland Tony Bellew. He's looking to tire him out. People say things like, well, Bellew won at least 4 rounds. Well, what's your point? You know, Derek Chisora probably won 4 rounds. Same with Anthony Joshua. Now, I've been through Tyson Fury's back foot counterpunching. Yeah? And bear in mind, when you've got a shorter guy who's back foot counterpunching you, as I've said, if he's coming out of a crouch like Tony Bellew is, it's very hard to predict those punches. When have you seen Tyson Fury throw a drop back right hand like this? He's about to hit Usyk with here. Fury's hands are nowhere near this sharp, people. It's nowhere near. It's completely different. And I know that Usyk isn't as sharp as he is here. Nowhere near. I say nowhere near, probably about 80-90%. But the thing is, with perspective, you don't realise how much faster someone like Tony Bellew is in the hand department than Tyson Fury until you see them in the ring together, right? So you might watch Tyson Fury for a combination, then watch a fight with Tony Bellew and think, oh, it's about the same speed. It's not the same speed. The reason it looks about the same speed is because Usyk is also moving quickly. It's like you could, if you hold your hand out right in front of your face, it looks as big as the tree that's 20 feet away, right? Perspective of size, same thing with speed. I don't know how exactly to explain it, but both these guys are moving really quickly. Your eye becomes accustomed to seeing that speed, and so what Tony Bellew is doing here, the punches he's throwing, oh fuck no, come on Tony, throw some shots, and the movements he's making, it looks the same speed as when you watch Tyson Fury, but it's nowhere near. Tony Bellew was way quicker than Fury, hand and upper body movement in this fight, okay? I mean, you've never seen Tyson Fury move his upper body that quickly. It just doesn't exist. And as I've said, when you've got a shorter guy and they're moving their upper body, it's hard to pin them down. If you've got a taller guy and he's crouching and coming up and down, it's a lot easier to time him because it's slower. And not only that, as I've said, punching downwards, it's a very difficult thing to do. Talking about punching downwards, the kind of chopping right hand you just saw Usyk throw, left hand even, Tyson Fury should be throwing that against Usyk. He needs to throw a chopping right hand against Usyk. Look how much quicker Usyk is compared to anyone Fury's fought. Fury said that he's gained like 20 pounds. This is Usyk. No, Usyk's probably weighing about 210 pounds in this ring. He's probably gained 10 pounds, okay? 10 pounds isn't just going to get rid of all his fluidity and nimbleness. It's just not the case. Again, let's look at Tyson Fury here, and this is the quickest we've seen him since his comeback, okay? Look at him moving his body. It's nowhere near as quick as Tony Bellew. Okay, here he's just mauling with his head. Let's find some of him moving his upper body. See? It's not as quick as Tony Bellew. It just isn't. So you can't look at Tony Bellew and go, well, Tyson Fury would have beat him, so if Usyk had some problems there, then Tyson Fury beats him. Look how much quicker Tony Bellew is. On top of that, who's to say that Tony Bellew wouldn't have beaten Tyson Fury? Fury had the opportunity to fight Bellew in 2018. He opted instead to face Sefer Safiri and Francisco Pianeta, and complained that Eddie Hearn was trying to rush him into good position. Look, good opposition. Look how quick Tony Bellew actually is. People look at Tony Bellew's light heavyweight career and see he wasn't that great, and assume that he was a rubbish cruiserweight. When he moved up to cruiserweight, Tony Bellew became a much better fighter. He was revitalised, and also he was just more skilled as his career went on. Look how look at Tony Bellew's movement here. It's very underrated, his upper body movement, I have to say. And that kind of concludes this video. I know it's kind of all over the place, but I don't like making scripts. I just like looking at things, tell you what I see, and all you guys, you have the benefit of watching this stuff, really thinking something out. I'm just kind of saying what I see as I see it and trying to explain it in simple language. But tell me what you think. What happens if Fury comes out on the back foot? Does he beat Alexander Usyk if he does that? I think he should fight on the back foot in spurts, but I don't think it should just be all back foot game for this reason, because look at the speed that Usyk was actually having to contend with, and he realised, okay, I'm having to contend with this very, very fast upper body mover. I'm just going to mitigate the damage I'm taking whilst maximising the amount he has to move. I think if Fury comes out on the back foot, it's not going to be anywhere near quick enough. He's not going to react quick enough. He's not going to move quick enough. And Usyk will do the same thing. He'll just stay close enough that Fury keeps throwing but is landing mostly cuffing shots. And eventually Fury's going to have moved too much, thrown too much, feel tired, and Usyk will take over and potentially stop him. That's my view. Again, I really think that Fury getting stopped may be on the card here. I think it's a very, very big possibility. Anyway, you have yourself a good day. Tell me what you think in the comments. Make sure you like, subscribe, share. And if you have negative stuff to say, it's all good. Somebody accused me of deleting their comment, but they can see that it probably wasn't me. I have to say it wasn't me. If somebody has something negative to say, you'll see I often pin it, because actually, if there's a negative comment on a video, somebody scrolls down, sees a negative comment, they're more likely to watch the video. So if you want to talk crap, it's absolutely welcome. I'll like it, I'll leave a heart on it, and I'll pin it, and it'll probably help my engagement. Have yourself a good day. Thank you.